You might think that identifying whether a woman secretly desires you is like trying to read a closed book. But if you know where to look, the signs are there, clear and obvious, even though they're often disguised under subtle gestures or attitudes that only the most observant can decipher. Neil Strauss, through his research on seduction, body language, and human behavior, discovered that women communicate their desires with almost choreographed precision. But they don't do it, obviously. They do it through a hidden language, one designed to be understood only by those who have the ability to see beyond what's immediately visible. The first sign that a woman secretly desires you is her selective emotional availability with you. She may not say it directly, but when you talk, she listens with an attention that she doesn't give to others. It's not typical social courtesy. It's a different kind of energy, a type of emotional openness that seems reserved just for you. Strauss explains that when a woman is attracted to you on a deeper level, she changes the way she shows up. She becomes more receptive, more vulnerable with you. She might tell you secrets that she doesn't share with anyone else or open up with thoughts she usually keeps to herself. She doesn't do this by accident. She does it because, although she hasn't told you in words, her desire for you is being filtered through emotional trust. And she wouldn't do this with just anyone. It's a powerful sign because she's saying, "I feel safe with you. You matter to me more than you realize." But be aware, this level of trust isn't given immediately. As Strauss would say, women don't emotionally surrender to someone who hasn't proven their real worth. If she opens up that part of her inner world, it's because she's observed you, analyzed your behavior, and decided there's something about you that draws her beyond just physical attraction. This is key because that hidden desire isn't always sexual in its most primal form. It's a desire born out of respect, mystery, and what you project without directly saying it. The second sign appears in her subtle yet obvious body language, but only if you know where to look. Neil Strauss argues that the body often reveals what the mind tries to hide, and this is where a woman starts giving off involuntary cues. Watch if her body always tends to face you, even when you're not speaking. Does she cross her legs in your direction? Does she slightly tilt her head when listening to you? Does she unconsciously play with her hair when you're near? These micro-expressions are not random. They are physiological responses that arise when there's desire, when there's an attraction that hasn't been verbalized yet, but the body simply can't hide anymore. Many men focus only on whether a woman smiles or casually touches them. But Strauss teaches us to look deeper. For example, if a woman unconsciously adjusts her clothes when she sees you, if she softens her voice with you, if she holds eye contact just a second longer than usual, this isn't coincidence. This is her subconscious speaking for her. And that, my friend, is a message that few ever truly hear. What's fascinating is that these signs are often more reliable than words. A woman who secretly desires you probably won't say it outright, due to pride, fear, or societal norms that hold her back, but her body will betray her. And that's where you, if you have trained eyes and a keen awareness, can uncover the truth that others miss. A woman might tell you she only sees you as a friend, but if her body relaxes when she's with you, if her pupils dilate when she sees you walk in, if there's a subtle energy that ignites between you every time you cross paths, then you're facing a silent truth that speaks louder than 1,000 words. In Neil Strauss's world, seduction isn't about manipulation. It's about perception. It's not about forcing anything, but interpreting the signals that are often hidden behind a shy smile or a laugh that lasts a half-second longer when you're nearby. Because when a woman desires you, even if she doesn't say it, her presence screams it. And the one who knows how to listen, the one who can look beyond the surface veil, has access to a connection that goes far deeper than the usual game of attraction. This is just the beginning. That spontaneous shift in her behavior, that subtle change in how she acts when you show up, it's not a minor coincidence or an innocent fluke. It's one of the clearest manifestations of unspoken desire. And the fascinating part, as Neil Strauss explains, is that this shift happens even when she tries to act normal. That means she might make an effort to maintain composure, to pretend she hasn't noticed your presence, but something in her tone, in her way of laughing, or even in how she fiddles with an object in her hands, starts giving away what she really feels. These are microscopic signals, but when combined, they tell a much deeper story. The story of an attraction that hasn't been vocalized but vibrates in every gesture. Watch her pauses. Does she take a small break when you're near, as if waiting for you to say something? Do her movements become more conscious, more delicate? Even the language of silence is a clue. When there's desire, the silence between two people isn't awkward. It's expectant. And that only happens when there's something more beneath the surface. Strauss always insists that desire doesn't need grand declarations. It's revealed in the small moments, in the unresolved tension, in the sweet discomfort that comes from wanting but not daring. A woman might look away, but her body will be looking for ways to turn toward you, to keep you within her field of perception. That hidden desire is often born from the feeling of being seen by you in a way others don't see her. If you reflect something different to her, if she perceives your attention not as invasive but as deep and authentic, she begins to respond internally, drawing her out of her usual pattern. This is when desire grows, not just because you attract her physically, but because you intrigue her on an emotional level. And a woman who feels emotionally stimulated begins to open small channels of connection, even if she does it from the shadows of discretion. Now, when we talk about the coincidences she creates, it's not that she's manipulating the situation, it's more of an unconscious strategy. She might start casually passing by where she knows you'll be, or mention in a group conversation that she's going to a certain place, knowing it could make you show up too. It's a subtle, elegant way of inviting you into her world without exposing herself too much. Neil Strauss describes this behavior as part of the psychology of passive attraction. She won't take the initiative openly because that might feel emotionally risky to her, but she'll do everything in her power to make sure you're the one who takes the first step, while she sets the stage for that to happen. What's most impressive is how these coincidences can start feeling magical. Just when you think about her, she appears. Just when you decide it would be a good idea to talk to her, you get a message from her. It's not the universe conspiring mystically. It's her aligning her decisions to draw closer to you without it seeming obvious. She's protecting her vulnerability, but at the same time, taking small steps towards you. And if you don't notice, if you don't recognize it, she might interpret your indifference as disinterest. That's why Strauss emphasizes the power of mindfulness. Instead of talking endlessly or trying to impress her with words, observe. Watch how the air changes when you walk into the room. Notice if her laugh becomes a little brighter, if she touches her hair, or adjusts her clothes as if unconsciously preparing to be at her best. Those details don't lie. They're clear manifestations of an energy that can't be contained much longer. She may never say it out loud. She may keep acting like everything is under control. But when a woman secretly desires you, every part of her presence begins to move toward you. The key is whether you can receive that energy with confidence, without anxiety, without needing to rush anything. The most intense desire is not always the one that's shouted. It's the one that's built silently. And if you can hold that silence with assurance, if you can walk through that subtle space without breaking it with clumsiness or neediness, then not only will you see the signs, you'll become the man she can't ignore. When a woman starts seeking validation only from you, she's not desperately asking for approval. She's exploring, feeling out the terrain, almost as if she needs to confirm that her intuition about you is correct. Neil Strauss observed that this kind of behavior doesn't stem from whim or ego. It comes from an inner need for emotional connection. She wants to feel seen, but not by anyone. She wants to feel seen by you. That, in itself, is a silent declaration that she has emotionally chosen you, even if she doesn't say it. And with that choice comes risk, because by exposing herself to your judgment, even in disguised form, she's showing you that your opinion weighs on how she feels about herself. This signal is powerful because it goes beyond physical attraction. It's not just that she wants to impress you, it's that she wants to resonate with you. She wants to align with your vision, with the way you see the world. She might mention a book, a movie, or a personal experience and pay extra attention to how you react. She's not seeking empty flattery. She's trying to confirm whether what she is, what she thinks, and what she feels has a place in your world. That need for validation doesn't come from ego. It comes from vulnerability. It's her way of saying, I want to be important to you, but I'm not sure if I already am. And what makes it even more meaningful is the way she does it. She won't beg for it. She won't demand it. She'll disguise it as a light comment, a spontaneous smile, a small gesture that, if you're not paying attention, could go unnoticed. But if you're truly present, you'll feel that there's an emotional tension behind every word, a kind of hidden hope, as if in each interaction with you, she's placing a small bet in an emotional gamble that she's not sure will win. This is desire, not carnal in its direct form, but emotional, profound, arising from genuine interest in you as a man, not as a character or figure. And this is where Neil Strauss makes a crucial distinction. A common man responds from vanity. He gets excited by the attention and wants more. But the man who truly understands the dynamics of attraction responds from his center. He doesn't desperately seek to please. He doesn't try to control it. He stands firm, aware, open, knowing that authentic attraction doesn't need to be chased. It only needs to be reciprocated at the right moment. When you respond from this place, calm, without anxiety, something almost magnetic is created. She feels she can keep approaching without being judged, without feeling invaded, and that gives her permission to show even more of her desire. Moreover, this silent desire also manifests in the small comparisons she makes between you and other men without it seeming obvious. She might mention that she feels more comfortable talking to you about certain topics, or that you're different from the others, but she says it almost offhandedly, as if it doesn't matter. And yet it matters more than anything. Because when a woman secretly desires you, she begins to set you apart from the rest. She starts to build a mental category where you are the one who understands her, the one who connects with her world in a way others can't. This is absolutely intentional, even if she doesn't fully understand it herself. It's as if her mind and body are preparing for you to enter a more intimate, deeper part of her life, a part she doesn't easily open up. That's why she's not just seeking you to say that she's beautiful or interesting. She's looking for something more complex. She wants to feel that you're seeing her, feeling her, recognizing what's behind the way she speaks, moves, or presents herself. And when that happens, when there's that subtle resonance, a type of attraction ignites that doesn't need words because everything else is already saying it. What's interesting is that at this stage, she may still show some ambiguity. She might take a step toward you and then pull back. And that's normal. Neil explains that this isn't rejection. It's a form of self-protection. She's testing how much she can reveal without losing control. That's why your role is not to force the connection, but to remain available, present, calm, without impatience. Because if you stay firm in that center, she'll feel she can keep approaching you, knowing her desire won't be ridiculed, judged, or used against her. The safe space you create just by being you is what transforms hidden desire into an open invitation. And then everything changes. Because when a woman feels she can trust her desire, that she doesn't have to hide it, she expresses it with a beauty and intensity that can't be faked. But to get there, you have to read all these signs correctly. Because the one who understands them is the one who awakens a connection that goes beyond the game. A connection that, without needing to be declared, becomes an unforgettable experience for both. What happens when a woman places you in that very specific emotional space where your opinion matters more than anyone else's is that she starts to subtly change her behavior, even in your absence. Neil Strauss observed that when a woman secretly desires a man, her inner world begins to shift toward him. She starts making decisions that, although they may seem unrelated to you, carry your influence beneath the surface. She might change the way she dresses, not drastically, but in a way that aligns with what she perceives you like. She may start to get interested in things you mentioned just once, as if that small comment has become an emotional anchor that constantly reminds her of your presence. And this goes beyond what she does directly with you. It also shows in how she starts to react when other women approach you. Even if she tries to hide it, her gaze becomes more analytical, more tense. Sometimes she distances herself slightly, as if internally processing something she can't say, something she doesn't want to share with you, something that bothers her about seeing you available for others. Neil describes this as desire that hasn't been validated yet, but which has already developed a sense of belonging. She won't say it, and she probably won't even admit it to herself, but she already sees you as a significant possibility, and that's enough to activate certain emotions involuntarily. Another revealing detail is how she becomes more perceptive toward you. She might start noticing changes in your mood, in your style, in your energy, even before anyone else does. And she'll say things like, "Are you okay today?" or "You seem different." This sensitivity isn't just simple courtesy or general concern. It's attention that's directed at you. It's a sign that she's emotionally tuned into you. Because when a woman secretly desires you, her senses sharpen in relation to you. What you feel, what you express, what you leave unsaid, all starts to matter to her more than she's willing to admit. And there's more. On many occasions, this type of desire drives her to protect her image with you. She might avoid certain behaviors, words, or actions she would normally display with others. She's more careful, not to pretend, but because she wants you to see her in her best version. It's not that she's acting like someone she's not, it's that desire makes her more aware of her presence around you. Neil Strauss mentions that in these moments, she's playing a form of invisible seduction, not based on what she says, but on what she wants you to perceive without her saying a word. It's an emotional dance where every gesture has a meaning that only you can decipher if you know how to look. And perhaps the most subtle of all is when she starts opening spaces for you in her life without it being obvious. She might mention an event and say you could go if you want, or talk about something she's doing, just in case you're interested too. These are invitations wrapped in neutrality, but they aren't really neutral. They're indirect ways of making you a part of her routine, of letting you in without her emotionally exposing herself. It's a graceful way of saying, I'm creating space for you, but you decide if you want to fill it. All of this, without explicit words, is a rich language that speaks of contained desire, of an emotion that seeks to grow, but still needs to be confirmed that it's reciprocated, that it's safe, that it won't be misinterpreted. And you, by observing all this with calm, with real attention, can not only understand her, but also build a deep connection before any verbal declaration exists. Because if there's one thing Neil Strauss made clear in his studies, it's that the most intense relationships don't always start with words. They start with a silent complicity that's felt before it's spoken. A lingering look, a smile that lasts a second longer, a coincidence that wasn't really a coincidence. All of that is part of a code that not everyone knows how to read. But if you pay attention, you'll be able to decipher it with complete clarity. And if you've made it this far, you're probably beginning to see what's obvious. When a woman secretly desires you, she's not going to shout it out. She's not going to send you obvious messages or make open declarations, because her desire doesn't work in a noisy way. It's a silent energy that reveals itself in her most subtle actions, in her decisions, in her pauses, and especially in the way she is with you. Neil Strauss understood this clearly. Female desire doesn't always seek to be understood with logic. It seeks to be felt with presence. And it's at that last sign where everything makes sense. The seventh sign, the most delicate, but also the most powerful, is when she begins to trust you with her emotional vulnerability for no apparent reason. She's not in a relationship with you. There's no commitment. But suddenly, she starts sharing things with you she doesn't share with anyone else. She lets you into her inner world. Maybe she confesses fears, doubts, or personal stories that didn't need to come up in the conversation, but that emerge carelessly. It's a clear sign that her desire has transcended the surface level. Because a woman only offers that level of intimacy when she feels there's a safe connection, that you represent something more than physical attraction. You represent refuge, connection, and reciprocity. And here, we're not talking about dependence or emotional neediness. We're talking about trust, that sacred space that only opens up when desire is accompanied by respect and emotional harmony. When a woman lets you see her soul, even without intention, she's telling you that you matter to her more than she's willing to say. And that's where everything else comes together. Her attention, her gestures, her silences, her coincidences. Everything converges in that moment where she decides to show you her true self, without masks, without filters. What's interesting is that it won't always be obvious. It may come wrapped in a casual conversation, a quiet night, or a random walk. But you'll feel it. You'll notice that there's a part of her giving herself to you without asking for anything in return. And when that happens, there's no doubt. She desires you. She's chosen you emotionally, and now you decide if you're ready to receive that connection from a place of maturity and reciprocity. Now, if all of this made you see things you hadn't noticed before, if it opened your eyes to a new dimension of attraction and emotional connection, I want to invite you to something. This channel isn't just a space to talk about seduction or relationships. It's a community where we seek to understand what's deep beneath what's apparent, where we explore what no one says but everyone feels. If this content made you reflect, if you felt I described something you're living, or something you've lived, let me know in the comments. Tell me which of these signs you've noticed, which ones you've experienced, which ones surprised you. Your experiences can help others see what they don't yet see. And that's what helps this community grow, not just in number, but in awareness. Subscribe if you haven't already. because here you'll continue to find deep, real content without empty fluff. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next, because every video is designed to reveal something that transforms the way you see relationships, attraction, and most importantly, your own value. And if you feel this message could help someone else, share it. Because you never know who might need these words to understand what's happening to them, to name what they feel, or simply to open their eyes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for being part of something bigger than just a video. This is a journey, and it's just getting started. See you soon.